Oh, sick. I just got this box in the mail today from Mava Sports. Huge shout out to them. They sent me this goodie bag, well, goodie box of equipment for no reason. Like, literally, the guy just emailed me and was like, hey, we appreciate what you're doing with the industry, putting out good information, putting out good videos. He just wanted to show his appreciation to Hunt Fitness. So, hey, I'm all for it. Awesome dude. I didn't have to even make this video telling you guys about it. I just, wanted to because it was such a nice gesture. However, you gotta check this shit out. So, I got knee wraps. Pretty cool. These I'm super excited about. These are wrist wraps. Now, I already tried these. I opened them up and just put them on my wrist and tried them out. And one cool feature about these that I really liked was the thumb loop was like extra stretchy. I don't know, like maybe it's different material or something, but it was extra stretchy. Now, why is that important? Well, in powerlifting meets, you can't use the thumb loop when bench pressing. I don't know why. It doesn't really make sense to me why you can't use the thumb loop, but you can't. So, obviously, when you're wrapping your wrist, you do need to use the thumb loop. So, can't talk. The thumb loop to wrap, is like an anchor to wrap it around your wrist. So what you do is you put your thumb in, wrap it around your wrist, and then at the last second, after you already have it tight, you sneak your thumb out. But with some wrist wraps, the thumb loop is really tight, so it's kind of a bitch to get your thumb out. Especially if you kind of really wrap it around tight. It's really hard. Now this, because the thumb loop was more stretchy, it was really easy. I could get it tight, and then it was just, boop, thumbs out. So a cool feature with these wrist wraps, I'm excited to try them out at the gym. So knee wraps, wrist wraps. Now what the company is known for, or at least what it seems like just by my quick little glance at the website, is these, they call them gloves, but they're not really gloves. Let me open them up. And when I saw these, they do have a cool application for stuff I like to do, so it makes it, they're kind of neat. Alright, so this is what we're looking at. They're called gloves, but I don't really think they're gloves. They're more like, hold on, let me try them on. I think it'll give you a better view of what they are. Okay, so this is how they fit your hand. So they're not really gloves. They're kind of just hand protectors. Now, you're probably like, man, what would you ever do with these? Like, I would never, lift with these. However, these do have a really cool application. When I do muscle-ups, so it's like a pull-up, but then you go into a dip, it absolutely wrecks your hands, like, worse than anything. Like, if I do, a set, or a couple sets, probably, depending on if I'm doing them, but let's just say if I do, 20 reps of muscle-ups, it's almost guaranteed my hands are going to rip. My skin's going to rip and I'm going to get caught. Actually, matter of fact, I did it last week, and I ripped my hand open. But you don't really want to wear gloves, because then you don't really have good grip on the bar, and then you're going to go flying or maybe even hurt yourself. So, something like this is perfect for muscle-ups, so I'm excited to try these out. They do have, gymnastic straps. I've tried them. A lot of CrossFitters use the gymnastic straps, and they work too. However, they're not nearly as comfortable as these. Also in here was a muscle roller stick. Now, these are really cool. I have wanted to get one of these for my own for a while now. I just haven't. So, I'm excited about this. You can roll out your calves, your quads, hamstrings, all that. Pretty good. It's got myofascial release, kind of like foam rolling before training or after training, whenever, or in between training sessions for recovery, whatever you want to do with it. It's pretty neat. So again, huge shout out here. I'm very excited to use all this shit. Once again, you guys probably think I have some discount code or I'm getting paid to say this. Honestly, I'm not. I didn't have to make this video. Like I said, the guy just wanted to send this stuff to me. So I wanted to at least give him the credit and, throw up a video just saying, hey, thank you. That's it. What's up, guys? So, I'm sitting in my office getting ready to go to the gym, and a topic just jumped in my head. Something I really wanted to talk about. I've actually wanted to talk about it for a while. I just haven't sat down and got the camera out. And that's the powerlifting arch. Now, this is something that's it's a very popular comment on social media. So what I mean is, you see a power lifter using a nice big arch on a bench press, And people who may not be familiar with powerlifting, maybe more so on the bodybuilding or aesthetic training side of things, that maybe not understand powerlifting bench press technique, always comment basically just talking shit, saying things like, oh, nice bench press, but what's up with that arch? Yo, you're going to snap your shit up. Whatever. I mean, a bunch of them. You see this a lot with females. A couple reasons for that. One, I think it has to do with them wearing tight clothing. It makes the arch more evident. I mean, think about it. That's one of the reasons why in a powerlifting competition you have to wear a singlet, because it makes judging easier. When you're wearing a singlet, obviously everything is really tight. It makes it easy to see if your ass comes off the bench while you're bench pressing, if you're hitting depth on a squat, etc. Singlets don't hide much. Neither do yoga pants. Neither do tight tank tops. So females wearing tight clothing, you know, it's more evident. They also might be more flexible, might have more spinal flexion. I don't know about that. I'm talking on my ass. I'm just guessing that might have something to do with it. And two, or three at this point, the third thing why I think females get it more so is because they're not lifting as much weight. Now I'm not saying like pound for pound. There's some strong females. You can have let's just say a 110-pound female or something is doing doubles or triples with 95 pounds. Now, that's a damn good bench press. However, you take your average gym bro, who, 225-pound guy, he's not going to be really able to correlate that. He's like, well, look at her. She's benching that, but damn, that arch, she's going to snap her shit up. So you do see that a lot. But shit, I see it. It happens to me. Not so much on my newer videos, because I think a lot of you guys that watch my videos, for one, understand powerlifting, or at least understand powerlifting technique, or just proper bench press technique. But two, quite frankly, I mean, let's be honest here. I weigh 160 pounds and almost bench press 400. So if you're gonna give me shit, pick on something besides my bench press. But I do get those type of comments on my older videos. I have a couple videos in particular where I've, like, probably 3 years ago by now, where I was hitting 335, 345, around that area. And I had a pretty decent arch and pretty good setup for my limited knowledge back then on powerlifting and specific powerlifting technique. But I had a pretty good arch. And, every couple months I get a comment on there, kind of along the same lines. Oh, nice bench, but you should do it with a flat back. Or nice bench, but you're cheating with the arch, etc. So let's really get into this. Why do powerlifters... Why is it proper technique to use an arch? If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about is when you set up for a bench press, a power lifter is gonna, it's gonna be a whole bench press setup, or at least it should be. You get your feet set, you get your ass set, you retract your shoulder blades, your scapula, and try to arch your chest up as high as possible, because the only things that need to be on the ground are your feet, your ass, and your shoulders, and in some federations, your head. There's nothing that says your lower back or even towards your upper back needs to be on the bench. So you want to try to get your chest as high as possible to shorten that range of motion. However, I mean, obviously there's you shorten the range of motion so you can lift the most amount of weight. I mean, that's kind of the idea. But there's also a safety thing. Yes, it is actually safer for a couple reasons. One, like I just mentioned, your shoulders. It's very hard to get your shoulders or your scapulae retracted fully and then have your back flat. Like, it's almost impossible. And the reason you want to have your scapula retracted is it creates a nice firm base. Nice firm base, nice platform to bench off from. When your shoulders are not tight and they're out in front, it's very dangerous. It's like a shoulder injury waiting to happen. Or a pec or pec minor, something in there. It's very dangerous. So you want to have that, your shoulders retracted. You're going to get a better platform. You're going to get better power. You're going to have a bigger bench press because of it. And you're going to be safer. Another reason why the powerlifting arch is safer is because the only real time your lower back is in danger is if it's only your lower back that's arched. So if a powerlifting arch, it's almost like a half of a circle. It should be like if you cut a watermelon in half, like a sunset. Arch fully across your back. So when you're benching, think about this. What's the first thing that you do when you hit a sticking point? I'm not talking about experienced lifters here. I'm not talking about elite powerlifters. I'm just talking about your average person in the gym. When they're benching, what is the first thing they do when they hit a sticking point? They arch their lower back and bring their ass off the bench. Every time. Or damn near every time. Their ass is going to come off the bench and their lower back's going to arch. Not their upper back, just their lower back. Because they're going to drive their hips up and probably look like a fish out of water trying to get the bench press up. Now that is dangerous. But a lot of times that can be prevented with just a proper setup. And it might not even be prevented necessarily with a proper arch alone, but a proper setup, proper shoulder position, and an arch would probably take care of that. Now the other argument you get is about chest development. And, alright, I understand it because it's shortening the range of motion. And range of motion does have a correlation to hypertrophy. Generally speaking, the exercise that goes through the fuller range of motion is going to be better for hypertrophy or muscle building than an exercise with a shorter range of motion. For example, we'll use the bench press. If you are a bodybuilder that is only focused on bench pressing, I would recommend you do a ton more volume, a full range bench press than, let's say, doing floor presses and board presses and pin presses, stuff like that, where you're shortening the range of motion. A powerlifting technique to overload, extend, the lockout. Same thing for like a squat. You're gonna activate more muscle fibers going all the way down, not necessarily ass to ankles, but getting a nice full range of motion than you are doing high box squats. As a bodybuilder, you're gonna activate more muscle fibers doing a fuller range of motion. However, with the bench press, it is true, but you're not gonna limit your chest development with an arch, because we're talking about a very, very small difference in range of motion. But like I said, you're talking a lot safer position and a more powerful position with shoulders, and even with that shorter range of motion, you're going to be able to use more weight. So whereas something like a board press is going to drastically cut down the range of motion, a powerlifting arch, we're talking like inches here, very, very small, but you're going to be able to lift considerably more weight. Like, it's not going to be like an equal ratio there. You're going to lift a lot more weight compared to the limited range of motion. We're talking about you could probably bench press 50 pounds more, depending on how strong you are, whatever. I'm just using an example. You might be able to bench 50 pounds more with a good setup and a good technique, powerlifting arch, than you could flat back with bad technique. 50 pounds, and we're talking about maybe a 1 inch shorter range of motion. See what I'm saying? It's not going to hinder chest development. So that's pretty much all I have. I mean, this was a topic I wanted to discuss, and hope you learned something. Just finished up at the gym, out in the car now. Had a pretty good workout. Whoa, I zoom this fucker in. Alright, had a pretty good workout, pretty good upper body workout. So I hit bench, did 3 sets of 6 with 270. The first heavy bench day since my meet. Like I said, last week was all bodybuilding, hypertrophy, lighter weights, deload week. So got under some, fairly heavy weight. The first 2 sets, I felt like I was a little off. The third set, I really got my leg drive in and the bar flew up. So that's something to think about. Then I moved down to the chest supported row. Felt good, went pretty heavy. Although I was supposed to do 8 reps, and for some reason I had it in my head that it was like all 6 reps today. So I did 6 reps on that too, although I was supposed to do 8. And then I did some close grip bench, which I don't do a ton of close grip bench because my competition grip is relatively narrow, so I just don't work in a ton of close grip. But I'm doing it this program, so I threw in 2 sets of 6 on the close grip bench, and that felt pretty good too, so I'm happy with that. And then that's all you saw on video, but I also did some dumbbell hammer curls. Gotta work them buys. And then I threw in one extra thing that was not on the program. I just did 2 sets of overhead barbell walks. I mean, it's not even, I went relatively light. It was more just, work some overhead stability, just round out the day. Nothing too crazy. Now I gotta stop at the store and go home.